Cool. What's up, everybody? So I'm going to do a special kind of weekly outlook video this week. You know, typically with all the news that's been going on with the United States and Iran, like there's really it's pointless for me to send out a bunch of charts or try to mark up what I think is going to happen because there's going to be some big gaps in the market and nobody really knows, it's market opens in 2.5 hours from now. And even from there, some sort of news could break and change everything. So really, I think what I've been trying to do is to really figure out and study what exactly is going on with between the United States, who exactly General Soleimani is or was, and what is the real significance of everything that just happened, and what is the effect on the market. So I have one of my good friends here, Yaser Khan from the VIP group. If you've been around for a little bit, you definitely know who he is, at Bullcat, and he was there, show me around London. Great guy. He's also a Sunni Muslim. Yaser, you're one of the smartest guys I know, man.
No.
You seriously are, dude. So once all this shit went down, I was texting Yaser to try to get the inside scoop of what is happening fundamentally. And we've had over the weekend, we've had some great conversations on back and forth on WhatsApp, and I want to learn more about what's going on, and this just to be more informed about the market, because like you go on Twitter, it's like at this point you can't even really discern what's real, what's not real, what's like significant, what's insignificant. And so you have some great views of what's happening. So yeah, thanks for coming on here, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Yeah, I think we got to look at gold. I mean, that thing's just like rocketed, hasn't it?
Yeah. There's no.
I think with all this insecurity, all this, I think this is a perfect little catalyst to push gold up even higher.
Yeah.
With all that instability,
Right.
Whatever is going on, whatever happens, I think the good thing is that things haven't escalated in over the weekend. So I think that gold is on its way up again, and it doesn't look like it's gonna go down anytime soon. I think that's definitely, as traders, I think that's something we can take a look at.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get a dip?
I think what, it has to dip somewhere. It has to dip, but we're hitting that high again, that all-time high that we hit recently. And I think it's got to go down somewhere, but it doesn't show any sign of it. And with more instability, it could still go up higher.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be shorted. I'll tell you that.
What did you say?
I wouldn't want to be short.
Right.
Definitely. I think gold is the one. Gold is really the thing. But the odd thing is the S&P is still pretty. Hasn't really sold off a massive amount as well.
Yeah, it did a little bit on Friday, and and especially for the market before the market's closed. So, yeah, we'll definitely see there for sure. I think the one thing that would be could bring the dollar back is that S&P drops, and which strengthens the dollar, and before any new revelations happen concerning this whole war issue, that would be the thing that would cause gold to dip, and then create a buying opportunity. Not to mention the overbought conditions and technical analysis and all that. But at this point, so who exactly was Qasem Soleimani? That's how you say his name?
Yeah, I think he was. I mean, the thing is, I think he was part of their head of their army, one of their units or whatever, and he's around for quite a long time actually, and he's one of those kingmakers,
What do you mean by kingmaker?
I mean, he had influence all over the place in all those surrounding countries, wherever the Americans were involved in, and I think he was just hard nosed and just did whatever he wanted to do for Iranian policy.
Right.
In every angle, and whatever his masters told him to do, he did it. And I think it's a pretty big move. Didn't think anybody was gonna, take him out like that.
It took some cojones, right? Like whether you
I think so. I think
to make that was like a power for sure.
It is definitely, and I think it came out the other day that I think the British tried to take him out in 2007 or 2008, and they just held off as well. And so it took someone like Trump to go in and say, "Look, I'm not having it anymore."
Yeah, and with people are like Trump won't do anything, or like with all the stuff in North Korea and like that Trump's all talk. Now people know that he's not.
They're like, well, this guy's, and I think that definitely. When you look at it, I think that's like, well, nobody else, probably would have had the guts to do that. Someone like Obama or whatever,
right?
Always would have taken a diplomatic route. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would have always taken a diplomatic route, and this guy's like, no, I'm not doing that.
So who was in the U.S., probably in the U.K. too? We're hearing like a lot of Iran's backing these terrorist militias, terrorist organizations in Iraq. And that's who stormed the embassy and killed these American contractors and servicemen and stuff. So who are these terrorist cells that are?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. All that kind of, I haven't even got a clue myself.
Right.
And I have to definitely say, I look at it from a perspective in the sense that I look at the whole of the Middle East. And I can't tell you who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. I mean, it's as confusing as anything. I look at, the situation, and I look at it from a sense that, since especially the Iraq War and things like this, there's absolutely been massacres and killings all over the place, and all of these men in power. Across the whole of the Middle East, and even in the West, if you look, we've all got blood on our hands. You know what I mean? There's absolutely been killing of minorities, of sectarian violence between Muslims. Those minorities that lived there for thousands of years are suffering again, and it's like, well, there's no one really, I would say who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. They're as bad as each other. I look at a lot of them, right. And I look at the countries themselves, and I just think that it's an absolute mess. Yeah. And I think what really hurts is you see communities that have been there and have absolutely been destroyed. And people running away from that, and you see the migrant crisis and all these kind of things. These are all we in the West are partly to blame for the lot of it. And also, the people there as well. There's kingmakers sitting there, and I think at some point it makes you think. Is there going to be any kind of resolution to this? And so far, I think that this move has probably made things worse. So more volatility, more problems. Yes, definitely. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a resolution anytime soon.
Anytime soon, absolutely not. I don't see any of that.
What's the impact in the region?
This I think it definitely. I think for the amount of sectarian violence that's going on, and you see, falling on these lines in some of these countries, and some countries are Western banks, some countries are not, and it looks long term. I think I can't see them resolving the issues amicably at all. I think I can see countries even splitting up on those lines. But then, there's minorities all over the place getting chopped up. We here sitting in the West, we just look at it and try to simplify it A, B, C, a good guy here and a bad guy there. But I don't think it's anything like that anymore. It's heartbreaking where you see people lost their family, their homes, their livelihoods, the lot. And there's people in power, sort of generals and this and that. And if you ask them, do you feel any guilt or anything, and they're as hard-nosed as anything, they say no,
Right.
They don't feel anything. Yeah, so definitely I think in that sense, I can't see any resolution from any of the conflicts in the region coming to.
I just thought of, you know, how, and with the whole Turkey and Syria thing, and there's
Yeah.
you know, the U.S. like kind of bailing on the Kurds. Are the
Yeah.
Kurds Sunni or Shia?
I think they're more Sunni actually, but I think that it's not even that. I think there's kind of ethnic divisions going on as well, because they're Kurds, aren't they? You know,
Right.
and
I mean, this is all still going. It's not like this is happening in Iran. This is happening in Iraq.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, these are not only religious conflicts, but there's, you know, sort of racial dimensions to these things as well. And so, you know, you look at it in the long run and you think, well, you know, they've struggled for a homeland in many places, and it's not just you know, in Iraq, but in other countries as well. And you know, I think they've always been screwed over. You know, it's always been like that. And I think that we look here, and sometimes we want a nice, good, clean, good guy. You know.
Yeah.
So you can have a good guy versus bad. And sometimes things aren't like that. Not as a thing, and it's confusing more than anything else. I look at it, I'm just as confused as anyone else.
Right.
And I think, I look at it, I think, well, you know, suppose saying one guy is good or bad or whatever. Some of them, if you look at the atrocities, both of them have committed, or you know, or all sides really. To say, you know, and I think we're sometimes conveniently willing to just close the doors on those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What? Well, so I mean, what does this mean for the surrounding Arabic countries? And so the and I mean, like Saudi Arabia. Which ones are Arabic? And we have, you know, Iran, which is Persian.
Yeah, I think for the Gulf, some of those Gulf countries, I think definitely where they've had problems before, this could even inflame a lot of them. You know, and also I think
not all of the, you know, Muslim people around think this is a bad thing. Some of them, like people are, you know, like Scott in the chat room is talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's divided. I mean, I think to think of the Muslim world as one monolithic block isn't right at all. And I think that there's complexities in each country, you know, and on a case by case. But I think a lot of the countries, you know, if there is a flare up of tensions, because Yemen's been going on for absolutely ages, you know.
Yemen.
Yeah, in Yemen, you know, the conflict in Yemen has been going on for ages, and you know, there's been bombardment, and there's these guys with like Kalashnikovs and like slippers. Right. I mean, they can't do those guys, you know. And you look at it and you think, well, where does it stop? You know, it's, you know, these things have a tendency not to die down, but to escalate. You put something down, but actually it'll flare its head up again, maybe in 5 years' time, 10 years' time. I think a lot of the Gulf countries are looking at this. They might be celebrating, but deep down, I think that there's always that possibility that something could kick off even more, you know, kick off again in their own countries, you know?
Yeah. What that, you know, this is like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, you know, something like that.
Everything was kind of just like, obviously, it's not like Iraq's been rebuilt. It's not like Afghanistan still shit's going down there. So like it was just like a smoldering pile waiting to reignite.
Yeah, it could. I think that could easily happen. I definitely look at it and think actually something could easily kick off. And then, you know, and also in the West, we've not got the stomach. The reality is we haven't got the stomach to see body bags come home. So, you know, whoever's there's a lot of rhetoric and people saying, let's good and we can send troops and this and that. But we're only willing to send troops as long as we don't see body bags coming home. You know, that kind of political image, there's a political consequence here. If you look at, you know, compare it to like Vietnam or whatever. You know, you can send a million troops over wherever, you know, you've got the best army or whatever. But if you start seeing body bags coming home and you see that on a media thing, I think especially Western countries, they can't stomach it, you know, to go into another conflict. Not now, maybe another 10 years. You know what I mean?
Right. And, you know, that's going to be the result.
Yeah.
And it's not like Iran doesn't have an army.
Yeah. But I think the other thing is if I think I can see a conflict 100% where I can see a conflict is if Iran, if Saudi's oil or something, institutions or something is attacked. Do you know what I mean? I can see, you know, Trump saying, okay, that's it, send the boys in.
What?
Something like that. Yeah, that would probably trigger us up because that's assets and that's wealth and that's the interest. So
Yeah.
something direct like that, I
Yes.
think I can see the conflict escalating straight away. You know.
Right. So you think on another level, this is like us doing the Saudis a favor?
Yeah, 100%. That's and I suppose the
So,
conflict's been.
so I mean, 'cause I asked that question because we had this conversation when I was in London. Most people aren't thinking about how does this benefit Saudi Arabia, and is that kind of like why Trump has had this guy in his sights, or like.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that could be. I mean, this is like going into conspiracy theory world, but
I mean,
yeah, you never know. I mean, somebody could have.
He's pulling the strings behind the curtain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the scary part of this. I think where we don't know, and why now. You can give whatever reason. There's always with politics. There's always something hidden behind the thing. So I think that the kind of it will. I think with regards to the markets, I mean, if nothing else, sort of kicks off. I think if we don't get a massive sell-off on the S&P, I think that if things just don't escalate too badly, I think it might be just business as usual. So I think the next few days, I'm going to be super cautious. If I get any kind of dip on gold, I'm definitely buying. That's one thing I will definitely do. Yeah, I'm just looking because I'll be watching gold like I was thinking, when is this thing gonna retrace at some point, and I can jump in. And I could only find a retrace. I think I did one trade last week where it retraced on an hourly, and I caught it. And the rest of it was like, just moving. I tried to get a dip on the daily or something. I just couldn't get anything really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before this news happened, I thought we were gonna get it at like 15.29. It looked like pretty. It looked done, and then boom, like missile, and
it just went off. It just went off on one. And I think, and if it, hopefully, I think definitely. I mean, I wouldn't want to be short at all. So I think anybody, even at the when it just passes the previous high, I wouldn't want to short it. I wouldn't want to be short gold at all. I'd be looking for something. I'd definitely be looking. And if it clears it completely, I'd just hold my long positions.
Yeah, well, that's the game plan, buddy, for sure. Get in there when we can. Yeah, and so how will this whole deal affect USA? Obviously, we're super divided over here, and we have this election coming up. So now it's like it's a so there's like both sides. It doesn't matter what my opinion is, but he was a bad. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if he was orchestrating attacks against their embassy. You know what I mean? So, but
I think there is another side. Do you remember when I think Trump tweeted that Obama might start a war because his ratings are really
yeah, exactly. No, yeah, that. So who knows what's really going on? Behind the scenes, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't really matter.
I think. I mean, if you really want always, I think a war can always. I mean, especially in the initial stages, if you look at like the Falklands or whatever, they had the Falklands War, and then that gave Margaret Thatcher, her election win,
right?
Especially, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was going to be my. So how does this affect the UK? So we know what's going on. Well, we don't really know what's going on in the US, but it's a shit show, really. But so so is the UK standing back to see how it plays out?
Yeah, I think the UK. I think our government here, my government's a bit more. I think they're like, okay, this guy was bad, so we're not going to shed a tear over his death. But they like saying, we should have restraint. And I think the whole European bloc is kind of more. We don't really want to push a conflict at all. You know what I mean? So they're kind of, I wouldn't say on the sideline, but they're definitely already on the other side of the fence. And I think Britain's somewhere in the middle, trying to sort of lasso in the rest of the thing. But even they're not hot on America's position. Do you know what I mean? They're not still behind America 100%, kind of shoulder to shoulder kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and Bojo and Trump are supposed to be boys. Now,
Yeah, there you go. That's the thing. So
he's Bojo bails on him. Trump's
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
pissed.
If there's more rhetoric going on and I think that can always, and then Trump looks super strong. Do you know what I mean? And with all that instability, if you had to choose a leader, all right, which one would you rather have? A strong one or a kind of weaker looking one? Do you see what I mean?
Between Boris and Trump?
No. Between Trump and any of his, say, opponents. Do you know what I mean?
In the upcoming election?
In an upcoming election. I mean, it's,
this is only this is a power play for Trump too. He's like, look, I'll pull the trigger. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and he did that, and you know what? I think, do you remember, like, with I think somebody put it in the I think it was you that put it in, but like in the next sort of G5 meeting or whatever, they better not mess around with him. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So I said Trump was just making sure everybody not to make fun of him at the next G20 summit or whatever.
Listen, if I was, I wouldn't be. I'd be like, listen, bud, I know you can do stuff. Let's be buds here. I think people.
I don't even care anymore.
I think they're definitely taking much, much more seriously. I think they're definitely going to take him much, much.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing is, how that plays into his election is it shows him as a strong man. It shows him as a strong man, and that always, I think, that will always appeal. Especially if you can create a sort of narrative of maybe like, say, if I was a campaign manager, I would create a narrative of, say, America's in danger, and I'm the guy with the most ability to defend it because I'm.
Okay, so judging by Iran, is America in danger?
Yeah, well, no, I don't think so. I think American interests in the region, yes, but the thing is, it's not what is actually; it's how it's sold to the public always. Remember?
Yeah.
So
right.
You sell it to the public as, okay, we're in danger. This is happening. This is all around us, and the average guy is going to be like, oh my god, we could have a nuclear war at any time, and this and that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's the same world we've been living in over here since 9/11.
Yeah. So, and then that, and then all of a sudden you got this strong man on the other side saying, you know what, I'll take out whoever messes with us, and who would you vote for then? And then if you've got someone that's maybe not as aggressive, or is not as articulate in that way or whatever, I think that there'll be an uphill struggle,
Yeah, big time. Whoever the Democratic candidate is gonna have. They're going into the cage with a monster.
Yeah.
How do you? It's like
I can't see it. I can't even see a Democratic candidate.
What's that?
I can't see a Democratic candidate on his level.
No, man.
And I don't think it could be. I think he's got an ability to also like just brush people off. Oh no, he's no good or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the skill you've got. You can try to go in as hard as him, but I think this guy just doesn't care. He's he's played the game and he's a player. He's a chess player.
Yeah, he is. So what about oil prices?
Yeah, that's the thing. If we get any kind of disruption in that, because we had the last one. Do you remember that the attack on those Saudi installations? I think, and that shot the price up. I think it did it. I think it was quite a bit. That shot it up. So any kind of conflicts there, that'll shoot the prices up completely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it went. This is back. Are you talking about like 2 years ago when it went to?
No. There was the one I think a few weeks back, about a month back. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
We had that, and that just gave that spike. I think it happened on that Sunday evening or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was Monday morning. I think it was Monday morning. Do you remember? And there was just a big spike.
How big of an oil producer is Iran?
I think they're like the third or something, second or third. I think they are.
They're pretty.
But it's not only them. I think it's not only them. I think it's like Saudi and all that. All those guys. So it'll disrupt the whole of the Middle East. Even if
so do oil interests that are American allies, they become targets.
Yeah, that's the thing. That I think that could definitely happen. That I think is
you know, instead of hitting, you know, to do something on to the U.S. homeland is like,
yeah, it's this thing. I mean, that's just asking for trouble, right? But
yeah,
then you know,
that would be
the
worldwide.
interest,
That would
yeah, that's definitely. I
the
think
World
that's
War
way,
III
way
thing
more.
might actually happen.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think you know, sort of. You can call them like sort of softer targets elsewhere, but I think they've still got to be very careful. Anything that directly affects, say, like a country like Saudi Arabia and stuff, I think that's definitely going to trigger a response from America.
What are the Saudis' military capabilities?
You are the Saudis' military
Yeah, pretty
capabilities.
much. Yeah.
I mean, whatever America's got is what they got, bro. That's I think is the main thing. I think that's what they're. That's the deal, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
So definitely good. So I think anything I've said. That's why I mean I'm going to be careful. So with my trading strategy on the for the next few weeks, I think I'm gonna, if I get any, I would be long. Okay, I'm gonna be long, and then gold and oil. But I'm gonna try not to take short positions or
Yen?
very low. If I do a short, if I see a trade on a intraday and it's a short, because sometimes I see a trade and I'll go for it, right? And if I see it, I'll do it, but I'll keep it very tight. And if I can put stop to entry.
Yeah. What about yen pairs?
Well, that's the thing, is it? So if we get some strength in the yen, that would look. But if we get the sell-off in the S&P, so I'm going to be watching the S&P as well. So I'm watching the S&P. I'm be watching the dollar index, and I'm going to be watching oil as well. I'll be watching oil and my USD NOK. I had my line in the sand, and it kind of crossed it. I think it was 8.8 or something like that, 8.82 or something, and it's gone. It's hit it. So I was going to be short, but I'm just going to hold back until I get a clear picture on NOK.
Anybody know that's in our VIP group probably knows that you're a big crypto guy.
Yeah.
What happens with Bitcoin now?
I think a big Bitcoin at the, I think as a kind of, I think, we saw a small spike in Bitcoin, as we saw with gold, and I think I didn't check the treasury, US treasuries, but the thing is, although I think it was only up 5%, and that isn't that much.
I thought it would spike more. Actually, Bitcoin Cash went to like 10-15% spike.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, I wasn't too convinced by the move. And I think that it will take something more scary for Bitcoin to move. If it's really is a store of value, or if that's how people are viewing it.
Do you think it's an investment?
Yeah, I think that if people do view it as that, but I think it will take a bigger dip in the S&P or something. If somebody just says that, I'll just put a little bit in there or whatever. But it didn't move that much. Although I am long cryptos anyway. My rule for cryptos is this: it has to be a double-digit drop before I buy.
Right.
Has to be. Yeah, buddy.
Can you get me iVises?
I what?
iVises.
Hey, bud.
I don't know what he wants, mate. Okay, I'm going to come out there. Just so you go outside. Okay, I'll get it for you in a second. Okay. So I think it has to be on Bitcoin. It has to be a double-digit drop.
Okay. Yeah.
A double-digit drop. So and so I'm looking at minimum 13 to 15% drop before I buy. And if it's done a move already, I don't chase it. I don't chase it at all. The opportunity will come, because once it always dips, it makes these massive dips. So 13% is my minimum before I put in a buy all the time. And then what I'll do is I'll scale my buys in. So I'll put in one position, and then I'll watch what happens the next day. All right.
Well, just the strategy aside, do you think this we'll find out if Bitcoin is a safe haven currency with everything going on now? Is this like time for it?
From what I know, I'll tell you what. From what I know, right? My friends that are doing and my friends that are abroad in some of these countries, And I have a few friends in Venezuela and places. They are using it in some of these, these like places where the economy is really busted.
Yeah, like Venezuela.
Yeah, like in Venezuela and places, but they are playing over the odds because the exchanges and things that they have access to, and in some of the places, and some of my friends in Africa as well are using it as a store of value. But they do pay over the odds for everything, so they pay some because they don't. A few of my friends, because they can't get hold of Bitcoin from the exchanges like we can, where we've got access to things. They sometimes pay a 10, 15, 20% premium. So and even then they so and they're willing to do it. So we'll find out, but I don't think from this I wasn't 100% convinced by the move in Bitcoin. I wasn't at all. 5% up and down, really, to me, I ignore those moves.
Yeah, the best bet, gold, silver.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but the thing is, for me to take a position, I always wait for a double-digit drop, then one position, and then over the next few days, I'll only jump in if it's another double-digit drop. So sometimes, yeah.
Right. So if for gold right now, it's at 1550.
Yeah.
Do you place a buy right here?
Let me see. So at 1550, I'll have to look at what the close is going to be. Always what the close is going to be, and then if it's above, I'll have a line in the sand, and if it closes above or below, then I'll have a position and I'll take that position. And if it goes against me, then the stop loss is always small.
I mean, so would you buy right where it is now, or would you wait for a dip first?
I'm gonna wait for a dip. I'm gonna wait for a dip. I'm not gonna jump in, and I'm not gonna jump in. Yeah. I'm not gonna jump in. Just not yet. It's got to be a dip because I've got this one rule, and it's like you never pay market rate for anything.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Always pay below the market rate. So if you're buying at the market rate, and it's high at the moment, then the only thing I'll pay market rate for is where I live, right? Because you need safety and security, and you're looking for a nice place, right?
Yeah.
But everything else, you should always try to get the best value for money that you can.
Right.
So at gold, if I'm buying at the market rate now, I think I'd rather wait for a dip. And if that means I don't get a trade, then so be it. See what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. So are you a haggler?
No, I'm not a haggler. I'm not a haggler. But do you know, like because of trading in cryptos,
in a London market and start haggling for prices?
No, it's not like that. I'm actually not a haggler, but it's because trading in cryptos, when you see the market rate, you're like, this is not what I'm ever going to pay for this.
For sure.
Yeah, if you want to win in cryptos, you've got to wait for at least the 68% retracement in something to make it worth your entry. And because I do that on every single crypto pair, because I wait for the retracement, I'm either break even, slightly under, or almost always in profit. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sure.
Because you look on the daily, and I look on the dailies, and I wait for a retracement all the time. I do not pay the market rate for anything, because there's enough volatility up and down, because the amount of volume is so low. One person can just shift the market up and down. So it's never worth paying the market rate. You know what I mean?
So just to tie it off and to finish up, if you're going to make one prediction fundamentally, not like pricing on gold or whatever, I'd say 1600 is probably pretty conservative estimate. But what's going to happen like fundamentally with this whole conflict and in the next, it's January, it's the first week of January. We have NFP this week too. But that's what's gonna happen.
I think the best thing, I'm going to be looking at the reaction the market has on the S&P, number one, right? So I'm looking at what's going to happen, and then I still think, as long as this conflict doesn't escalate or whatever, but I think that every single trade I do from now and say the next 2 or 3 months, I'm going to keep the stops super tight, and if it goes out of my zone, I won't trade it, right? The second thing is oil. I'd prefer to be long, all right, then be short, just in case if something does kick off and then you got a spike in the oil price, and gold as well, you know.
Yeah.
So so I try to be long as much as I can.
And what happens with you know, what's Iran's next play? And what happened? What the Yaser prediction?
I did. I look at it and I think I think that the conflicts that are already going on in the Middle East, unfortunately, I think they're only gonna get worse. I think
this is gasoline.
And actually it could in theory draw more people into the conflict.
That's a great point. I mean, that's what happened with the last Iraq war.
Yeah. Just you know, you just end up with more people dragged into the conflicts, and then you know, in some of these places with power vacuums and all sorts. So actually, I think that's the big danger. If I can predict anything, I think that these things have a nasty habit of actually dragging more people in, and that's really scary.
People chomping at the bit for see some action.
Yeah, absolutely. You know.
Well, man, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you, dude. And
cool.
I'll see you in the VIP chat room. How long have you been in the VIP group?
I think I've been it's like my third year now.
Yeah.
I think our third year, and I think that the thing is with a lot of the new guys, I think you need to start posting your charts. And actually the other thing I always did in when I was starting off is reverse engineering the signals.
Mm-hmm.
That is a real actually I actually made a video at some point, but I'm not sure if I posted it in the group.
No, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did a reverse engineering of how I reverse engineer the signals, and actually if you get 3 or 4 signals in a day and you reverse engineer them, and you can see what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't trade the way you trade it. Absolutely cannot trade that style. I tend to hold my positions and then stop loss very, very quickly. And I like to have 2 or 3 positions. And then as soon as, one hits my TP1 and then stop trade, I kind of do it that kind of style way. But then sometimes I'll only get 1 or 2 trades in a week. Do you see what I mean? And I can't look at multiple pairs. I just don't have that ability to.
How's it changed for you in the past 3 years?
So what I do is that my trading pairs are, I've only got 1 or 2 real trading pairs that I trade now. So I'll do either gold, oil, and USD NOK is my kind of 3 that I do. Mm-hmm. And then really I'll only focus on one of them in each week. If I can see a position. Sometimes on a technical I'll trade anything. If I see a trade, I'll take that trade.
Yeah.
But if I don't, but I can't monitor too much at one time. Mm-hmm. I find that really difficult. So I'll choose a pair, and I'll stay with it for 2 or 3 weeks. And if I get bored doing it, I'll do something.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I said in our mastermind group with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So stick to and that's it. And then what happens then is you're studying at all the different parameters, or shall we say, all of the different facets that pair has, so that the USD NOK, which is my one of my favorites. So I'm always looking at the dollar index. I'm always looking at oil, and then there's not much political news that comes out, but just I think sometimes the banks can with their interest rates and stuff. So you're always looking for those fundamentally what's going to happen. But then the complication that adds onto USD NOK is that it sometimes has a really huge spread.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge. But on a minimum, I think sometimes it's like 40 pips is the minimum, right? And that puts people off straight away, because it's you're there, and then even when you've got a good entry, when the spread goes to like 200, you've got to take that into account, when you're trading. So the thing is, when I sit there and okay, the spread's gone all the way up there, it's a massive spread. It means that you can only trade it. I trade it when the trade is there, and you can't run after it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh,
I can't run after it at all.
Well, sweet man. Let's see what happens this week. Thanks for
Yeah,
helping.
let's see what happens. Take care, mate.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Peace.